When he was elected, I said I would call balls and strikes. When he did something that was good for workers, we'd support him. When he did something that was bad for workers, we would oppose him. Unfortunately, to date, the things that he's done to hurt workers outpace what he's done to help workers.
And with those comments, the head of the country's largest federation of labor unions ignited a feud with the president. On Labor Day of all days, AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka taking the White House to task this weekend on a host of issues from wages to NAFTA, and President Trump not letting it slide, tweeting earlier today that Trumka, quote, represented his union poorly on television this weekend. Some of the things he said were so against the working men and women of our country and the success of the U.S. itself that it is easy to see why unions are doing so poorly. A Dem, he wrote, exclamation point. My next guest has a lot to say about this. He took his fight for labor rights all the way to the Supreme Court this year, winning government workers the right to choose if they want to pay union dues.
It's up to the worker to decide what they want for themselves, not some other larger entity.
Mark Janus is a former state worker in Illinois, now a senior fellow at the Liberty Justice Center. Mark, thanks for being here tonight. Good to have you joining us on this Labor Day. Talk to me a little bit about your reaction to what Richard Trumka said and how the president responded.
Well, I think what we're really looking at is that worker rights are paramount, which is why I brought this case. And the fact that we're seeing at Liberty Justice a number of people that are contacting us because they want to opt out, and we're talking government sector only here. We're not talking about private, such as carpenters and the like. And if the unions were doing such a great job and the unions were representing their people the way they should be and listening to the people, then probably my case would never have come to the historical end that it did, and I probably would have never have filed it. But because they didn't, we now have this situation that we're under today.
Yeah. In terms of what bothered you was to have union leadership like Richard Trumka professing to sort of have a political viewpoint that represents all workers, correct? And you believe that's wrong and not worth paying dues into.
Well, I think workers have the right to choose their own path, and I think the workers have the right to choose their own opinions. And to have somebody, like Mr. Trumka, purport to say that he speaks for all workers, I think is erroneous, because not all workers, and myself included, believe that the leadership of these unions speak for everybody. We are independent individual people. And to say that everybody within a union agrees and with what the leadership says, I think is just wrong.
What about what the president said about the decline of unions and the decline of membership that has been overseen by Trumka and a few others? Is that true, do you think?
Well, I think what we're seeing is we're seeing individuals that are choosing to make their own decisions again. And, look, our case that we put together was not, to union bash, and it was not to try to put unions under and make them disappear. Our case was about worker freedom and the right to choose. And if the unions are doing such a great job in representing their individuals that are members, then why do we have all these people contacting Liberty Justice wanting to opt out on the government side? That I think speaks volumes right there.
Yeah, it certainly does. Mark, thank you very much. Good to see you tonight. Thanks for coming in.